recording. Hey everyone, this is OotiniCast episode 442. We're recording this on the 5th of July of 2022. And we'll get going on the actual podcast here in just a minute. This is the raw version of the show with all flubs and errors and technical glitches all intact. And then we will put this raw version up on YouTube, but we will also edit the audio version that will go out as the podcast tomorrow. And looks like Bo Froley's already in the chat. Hey, Bo Froley.
What's up, Bo Froley?
And let's go ahead and get a couple things sort of done here. We have our guest
who
Zam Zam.
We've been raiding Zam Zam after our
we did a couple of Zam Zams. Well, if you are going to go back to streaming Zam Zam, you could actually start it like once we're sort of in the wrap up phase. Go ahead and start yours. I could raid you anyway.
I probably won't actually.
Okay, that's fine. We'll find someone else. That's all good. All right, and let's see.
So we were doing PvP on Sunday, and in between pops, we did Star Wars Mad Libs with chat. It was pretty fun.
That's funny. Do the things that they ask for, are they sometimes like specific to Star Wars, or is it just like noun and it can be just
just
artichoke
like the adjective, adverb, noun?
They don't say noun. Droid type or anything like that, or
no.
Okay. It's been we had Mad Libs when I was a kid. I haven't done it for ages.
Hey, Zam Zam's
they
raiding.
Are fun though.
Yes, it's the
hey.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
I remember having to erase what we'd written down because we were afraid our parents were gonna see that we were writing the word poop and butt poop and stuff, whatever.
Naughty Mad Libs.
I know.
I mean, someone must have done like an actual like adult Mad Lib at some point. I mean, that's got to be a thing, right? Rule 34, if nothing else.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm sure it goes pretty adult pretty quick. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We kept it pretty clean,
pretty PG-13.
Yeah, there was lots of butts and farts and stuff, so. Which made it really funny. What was it? There was one that was really funny. It was noun. Hold on, let me see here. Oh yeah, it was a noun that I looked for, and it was, as Obi-Wan Kenobi told his student Luke Fartwalker. I mean, pretty funny. Just like, so that was the thing for chat for the rest of the stream. We're like, Luke Fartwalker.
All right, is everyone ready to go?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. This is episode 442, being recorded on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Kittykissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Chill.
And we have a guest today. It's Zam Zam. Welcome,
Hello.
Zam Zam. How are you doing? Woo!
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's great to see you. And let's see. So, for folks who might not know you, although I'm sure most of them do, go ahead and let us know what you do in SWTOR, and around the game as well. In this case,
So I own the website mmobits.com, and I stream on Twitch a couple of days a week. And my main focus is, when I play the game, is PvP, but I do guides for kind of a variety of things across the game, really. But my focus this year is gonna be trending towards PvP content. So
nice.
Yeah.
And what kind of PvP do you do? Are you like a healer, damage?
I'm a healer main, so yeah,
Nice.
I've mainly been healing. I've been trying to learn. I'm a Merc healer main.
Okay.
I've been for pretty much
I seem to
almost
remember
10
that,
years now.
Yeah.
Merc, Commando. Yeah, I started with Commando, then switched to Merc. But as I switched to
That's
the
fine.
Imperial side. But yeah, I've been trying to learn SWTOR and operative healing as well, because I don't want to be a one trick.
Right.
I want to be a 3-trick healer. And I've also I've been dabbling a little bit in DPS more recently, just to change things up, and that's been a lot of fun. So
that's fun.
I've done some Pyro PT, and who's another PvP content creator for SWTOR. He tried to teach me lethality last week, but yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Like lethality operative, or like
lethality operative. Yeah,
the short range one. Yeah. That's actually like one of my favorite DPS specs. It's a lot of fun. I haven't really taken it into PvP though, but it's a lot of fun just in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And would you say like right now that are the healing classes reasonably well balanced, or is there one or two that's better than the others?
Well, I would say in terms of healing output, operatives are dominating. Okay. Medics are kind of in the middle, and Sulks could probably use a bit of a buff in terms of healing output.
Okay.
You don't really notice this as much in PvP. It's obviously a lot more noticeable in PvE.
Okay.
But yeah, Sulks are definitely a bit behind in terms of healing output. But otherwise, in terms of PvP, for unregs anyway, the healers all do fairly well. I think Sulks have pretty good tools that make them a bit more viable, that can help them match up a bit more to mechs and operatives. The problem I have with operatives in regs is when you're getting constantly interrupted and stunned, you can't cold toe inject spam, because that's what you do in PvE. You just stand there and cold toe inject spam and heal everybody. That's what makes them super OP. It's really easy to play operative healer at the moment. But it doesn't always work in PvP. In my experience, but then again, I stream, so I get focused constantly. So that's probably why it doesn't work for me.
Makes sense.
It's been getting worse recently, but yeah, the focus fire. But yeah,
right.
It's all part of the fun. But yeah,
and you're doing unranked. You've been doing unranked. You're saying that on SWTOR, it's there's not enough pops of the ranked PvP.
Yeah, I haven't done ranked since season 3, and that was like 6-7 years ago now. I think that was a long time ago. But yeah,
right.
I prefer 8v. I prefer 8v8.
Right,
war zones, anyways. So,
rather than arenas when they pop.
I'm not a big fan of arenas. No, I like large scale PvP in general. So yeah,
right.
But I do have a channel point for my viewers. If they get 20,000 channel points, they can make me do ranked. And I've got a couple of my regular viewers who actually have that now. But they can't use it because there's no ranked pops at the moment. Because it's off season and no one wants to do ranked anymore. So they can't use it yet.
Especially off season. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, I try to make the channel points so they can be entertained and watch me suffer,
Right.
Part of the fun of streaming is, suffering so that your audience can entertain you.
Indeed.
And so if people want to watch you stream, what's your stream channel?
Twitch.tv/Sam_Zam.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And then MMO Bits, is it .com or is it?
Yeah. It's MMOBits.com, yeah.
Great. And is there anyone else that they should go? Like, do you tweet a lot, or do you have other social media?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I have my Twitter handle is ZamZamGaming. That's all one word. And I've also been starting to do a bit of YouTube, and that's also ZamZamGaming, one word. So,
nice.
Yeah, trying to get into YouTube a little bit, but yeah,
that's cool.
Slow going.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you doing like the guides, like the MMO bits? Are you doing like clips from PvP, or what are you doing on YouTube?
At the moment, it's mainly been just clips from streaming. I've done quite a few shorts and a couple of clips. When sometimes people will ask me an interesting question, I'll clip that and make that a video.
Nice.
But I have done a couple of, I guess, essays just talking about the game. I want to do more of those, and I do want to do some guides as well. So
a nice mix.
The idea will be, if I do something written on my website, I'll have a video version as well. That's kind of what the direction I want to take. But
okay, is that also ZamZamGaming, or what?
Yeah, YouTube is also ZamZamGaming. Yeah.
Cool.
I put links in chat for anybody that wants to go give her a follow real quick.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. And we'll be talking more about PvP later in the show, so we're looking forward to that. Let's move to Kitty. How are you doing, Kitty, and what you've been up to since the last show?
I am doing wonderful, thank you. Been really busy with things and stuff, the boring things and stuff, but that is the human existence.
Yeah.
I finally finished switching from Streamlabs back to OBS Studios, and I'm not looking back.
Okay,
It
great.
is so much better. I'm so much happier with it. It's so much easier to deal with, and
Right.
I am really, really into transitions right now. Everything has got a transition.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
funny.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Now, for a while ago, you got like a third computer, and then like that was going to be the streaming computer. Do you now have that set up completely? Because that never quite happened.
Not.
It never quite happened, huh?
Well, what's happening is that we're having issues with capture cards right now.
Right.
And we're using a single capture card to get Kitty's computer so we can dual stream.
Okay.
So that's kind of like our experiment, but we're having issues with sound, audio stuff. So it's just kind of we're getting there, but there just seems to be more hurdles than we had thought. But
Right.
it's gonna happen, and we've learned a lot.
Oh, good.
And that's great. That's a lot of. Some people will come in and they'll ask, hey, can you tell me how to do something about streaming, this and that? And I'm like, Google it. You have to learn it. You have to learn it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that when something happens, and it will while you're live, you can just fix it.
You're right. So is your third computer doing anything at this moment, or are you still just running it off of the two computers?
We're just running it off of my old computer. So I'm gaming and streaming and running all that stuff on that old machine.
Right.
The thing's a tank. I love it. Hi, baby. I love you. And
does it get? Are you having any troubles with heat up there now that you're streaming together up there?
Yeah, we are going to be having another electrical line. Like we're having to do electrical with the house in order to facilitate the monolith air conditioner that I bought the last year. So last year it was 125 degrees in my room. And I was like, man, I don't ever want this to happen again. So I dropped like $500 on a big badass air conditioner. But my dumbass forgot that, I can't run it because it will constantly trip the breakers.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is that we're having some electricians come and put in a new line that is just for running the air conditioner. And of course, you call the electricians and bada bing, bada boom, and need to replace the box, bada dee, but it's all going to be fine when we are nice and cool up here with 3 machines running. And it'll all be worth it.
That'll be great.
Very, very excited. We did a 4th of July stream. We did. It was really fun. It was one of those streams that I looked at the clock and it's 3:00 and we started at 9, and it's like, oh my god, that was quick. And we hung out with you, Jill. We did some.
Yeah, it was fun.
PvP with you. We did a bunch of Galactic Starfighter, which was fun because Kitty hadn't done it before.
Oh, okay.
And she was interested, and she took to it like a fish to water, and
that's great.
she loves it. So
it really is a nice.
A lot of fun, yeah.
It's a nice game, yeah. It really is.
And it's great because now she has another thing in the game that she likes.
Yeah, she probably had some some points built up that she could, spend from like logins and stuff like that. You get some of those ship points once in a while.
Oh, that's right, you do. Yeah. So that was really fun. I go between loving PvP to hating PvP to loving Starfighter, hating Starfighter, loving PvP, loving Starfighter, hating Starfighter, loving PvP. It's a vicious cycle.
Right.
It's all fun.
But you always love leveling, and you always love Space Barbie.
Yes, Space Barbie is the true end game. And you know what's crazy? Or not crazy, but an interesting thing is that, you know, watching other PvPers, other content creators such as Zamzam and Kogus and, you know, Chimeri and you, Chill, too. I have upgraded my my second grade tantrums probably up to like high school tantrums where I'm not sharing my being angry and swearing like a sailor every time something weird happens, to just like it's part of PvP.
Right.
But yeah. So it's fun. It's great. And I wanted to kind of do some PvP because, you know, Zamzam was going to be here, and I wanted to kind of have some sort of clue what the hell's going on.
Yep, put a burr under my saddle too.
Yeah,
it was great.
And lastly, we hit 3,000 followers on our Twitch channel. So,
nice.
Oh, nice!
Congratulations, that's a lot.
Thanks. So we're gonna do another 12-hour stream at some point. Not sure when, but we'll figure that out in the near future. And of course, we'll let everybody know when that happens. But that's it for me, Chill.
Okay.
You're going to take a shot at trying to read who's in chat.
There's a lot of folks, so yeah. And again, we got the sort of the weird Twitch thing where it kind of just shows but doesn't show the actual list. So Abada, Akababy, Atrisol, Alis84, Beware the Sinister, Blackhawk Gaming or Blay, Bo Froley, Darkicious, Darth Dirty Socks is here, Deck is here, Gal 2020, Lakai 500, Kitty Treats is here, KJ SMLD, Lord Melts is here, Mavion Gaming, MCD 28, Nintendo Switch XL, Predakill, Rattalek, I don't know how to pronounce that, Shenuala, Sly Fox Martin, Smokey J, Snip ZZZ, Squishy Twitchy, Starry Saber, Tsunami Safari, Wolf of Mandalore are all here, and thanks for coming.
Well done, Chill.
Thank you. Yeah, we do our best. And let's see. So my two mains are in 7.0, Corbin Dallas and Lilu Dallas from Fifth Element. I got Corbin Dallas all the way through his story. And so I've sort of I'm now going to have to refocus on Lilu, who I left behind, partly just so I wouldn't see the same story over and over again. She is now maybe a third of the way through Kotfi. She's about to reach Asylum, so lots of story left to do on her. We did the Jar Jar Joyride. We tried hard mode, Karagas Palace, but hard mode was just a little too hard for us. You know, Jar Jar Joyride is a pretty casual group, and, you know, it's not like we get a lot of practice together or anything like that. I was tanking, but it was hard mode, and so this is the first boss is the Rancor. You don't really need a tank, so I did swap to my DPS spec, just to see if we could, you know, maybe get through it that way. Never quite got it, though. Because of all this, though, I decided to get a proper DPS spec to swap when I needed to, for both Corbin and Lilu. They are, one's Republic, one's Empire, so this way I'll have DPS spec for both. I decided to go with my Dot Smuggler, Lethality Smuggler, mainly because my Dot operatives were already geared up, so except for the weapons, I could just swap their gear over and just... Now instead of being tank mains, they're now going to be my tank and my DPS mains. So there we go. And I was playing around with Pyrotech, but I decided because I have the gear and all that other stuff, I just went ahead to do that. I do like Pyrotech, but I'm going to worry about that later. I did not want to have to come up with a whole other set of gear and everything else. So yeah, we just we went the simple way. Did some PvP, obviously, which was a lot of fun. Some by myself, partly with you guys, with the two kitties, which was great.
That was fun.
Yeah, the three of us did pretty well. I jumped back on the Vi character that I leveled in 6.0. She was like a brawling scoundrel. Not my favorite spec necessarily. I did okay. One of them, the arenas was really fun. It was an arena, and it came down. It was really close because, like, I was the last one alive on our team. There was 2 of them. One of them was a little low in health, and he'd also used his cooldown, so I focused him down, and then turned on the other guy, and somehow barely managed to beat him. So
it was awesome.
It was pretty wild.
So awesome. So Kitty and I and the last person was. So we were dead on the ground, and then all of a sudden the last 2, which were Chill and this other person, and Chill, the other person, zip, cruises away with the roll, and Chill was on his butt. We were both going, Chill! And then they disappeared, and all we could see was, their
health bars.
Bar.
Yeah,
it was great. It was super, super fun.
Well, earlier in that fight, like when there were still 3 of them, one of them was a stealther, and he vanished to get out of the fight, and I kind of knew, well, gosh, he's probably just going to come back at full health in a little while. But then I got focused, so I had to vanish. So I actually went up around the corner and found him, and he hadn't healed up yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you vanish, like, it doesn't put you out of combat right away, so he probably had a few seconds where he was still in combat, and he wasn't able to heal properly. So he was still, like, gaining health, though. He was using his out of combat heal at that point, though. So he was like about half health, and I was a little below half health at that point because I had just been focused for a while. But because I was in stealth, I was able to kind of get a 1-up on him because he did, awesome. I got the advantage of coming from stealth, so that helped a lot.
We did pretty good. It was crazy.
Too. Yeah, that arena was crazy. It was a lot of fun.
That was really fun.
And then there's other ones where it just doesn't go as well. Hut ball was fun. We actually did really well on hut ball. Yeah, and it was kind of crazy. It's like I'm trying to throw the ball, and then oh no, it missed, but then it got caught anyway. It's like I have no idea. Like about the
same thing happened to me.
There's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, the syncing is a little weird the way it works, but it managed to work pretty well. The scoundrels kind of. It's always fun to have a stealther and just be able to go around the war zones and try to get the different things clicked and so on. We had real troubles with like the Yavin 4 one. We were just not winning the Yavin 4s for whatever reason. Killers. Yeah, for some reason we just could not get it all together on that.
It was still fun though. It was still fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, absolutely. And let's see. And you were doing pretty good damage too. Like
I was doing great damage.
Yeah, like there's a couple of war zones where like you were like way top of the chart, which was great.
Yeah, that spreading those dots really gives you a lot of damage.
Yeah, it really does. It's nice. And then Kitty Treats was sort of going for a semi-tank thing, I noticed. So she was like hard to take down. Like if they tried to focus her, it actually was pretty difficult to take her out right away. And so she had a lot of she had a lot going for her that way.
Yeah,
which
she
was
had
pretty
me on
cool.
guard too, so I could take crazy damage.
Right.
And she was pulling people out of from getting the nodes. They think they got it, and then bye bye.
Right. So I made another leveling PvP toon for fun. I haven't done this in a little while. The last PvP toon I actually only did PvP. Like I got her through like the capital world, and then I stopped and only did PvP after that. But the thing was, I was doing that during the nightlife event last year, so there's something to do between pops. And it's just not fun to, because it's not fun to just sit there on a stream and just, we're going to wait as long as it takes. And sometimes it's, a while. It's annoying. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Kitty. Good idea. So this character, he's actually going to go through the storyline. So it's a James Bond cosplay, Chill Bond. He is an agent, story-wise. But I'm making him a pyrotech because I like that spec. I know from dealing with it with Corbin and Lilu. I understand it's a reasonably good PvP spec as well. At least I haven't actually tested that out really yet. But he has done some war zones now. In fact, today I played some more, so the notes are a little behind. He's now finished with Balmora, and we actually did 4 war zones, and I won all 4 of them in a row, which was great.
Nice.
Were they all? This is like July 5th, middle of the week, so it was all arenas. And he's also low level, so he started like 18. I think we got to 20 today. So there's a lot of cooldowns I'm missing and stuff like that. But a lot of other people were queuing up at low levels as well. I think some people were just starting up characters that day, and maybe other people were just trying the first war zone mission that you get from the fleet or whatever. There weren't. I was kind of expecting like a lot of people in like the high 30s to sort of be there and just be like stomping people into the ground. But that didn't seem to be the case. So I was actually top of the charts damage usually, which is fine. Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually, even with like no cooldowns. And I have no way to stun at all at this level because the single target is a choice way high in the tree. The carbonize is pretty far up there as well, and that's it. And I don't think I have even a proper slow at this point. So yeah, it's just damage, and well, fortunately, I have that. My basic ability is 30 meters still, so sometimes that's all you can do. Yeah, and considering it's a dot spec, it's kind of funny because there's no dots except for the passive one at this point.
All right.
But it's still pretty fun. I'm still enjoying it. The defensive cooldown, which is also sort of an offensive cooldown, is like pretty good in PvP because the way it's designed is you start with 1 stack and it goes up to 5 stacks. And as you gain more stacks, you go from 2% extra damage to 10% extra damage. You go from 40% extra armor to 200% extra armor.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and because they're redoing the stacks, it also is also extending the amount of time that it lasts. So it lasts up to 30 seconds.
Whoa.
You take less damage, you're doing more damage. Yeah, it's pretty solid. And I've done that on the tanking one as well. It's really good on the tanking because when it drops, it also heals you a bunch. This one is more just like you take less damage, and then you do more damage, which is great. But it's obviously really useful in PvP because usually people will focus you, and if they're focusing you, they want to keep focusing you. And then you pop that cooldown, and you're doing more damage to them. You're taking less damage, and they're refreshing the stacks for you, so it's going to last a long time. So
that's awesome.
It's a pretty cool cooldown for that. It's also really the only cooldown I have at this point. Nothing. I have my CC breaker and that, and I guess I just got my the shield one where you get a little bit less damage, and it's like a 3-minute cooldown, and that's it. So yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm not necessarily going after a specific Bond. He's sort of a generic James Bond, sort of the handsome with the dark, short, conservative haircut and all that. And I have a couple of looks for him. I put one of them in the show notes. Right now, because I wasn't doing any war zones, and I also decided not to do any not to buy the bonus for class mission, bonus for exploration, which I usually do, or in this case also bonus for war zones. I decided not to buy any of those to kind of keep things tamped down a little bit. And instead, I figure if I'm doing the class story and I'm also doing war zones, I'm going to catch up. And so far that's already happened. Like in Balmora, I started Balmora at like 16 or 17 and dinged 18 pretty much right away. And by the end of Balmora, I was like most of the way through 20. And because I did like 4 war zones during the course of it. Nice. Yeah, it's a lot of extra XP. So I figure we'll be fine on XP. I don't need to do anything more than that. We'll be fine. Cool. So yeah. So like I said, I threw a picture of him in the show notes.
I'm looking at him right now.
Yeah, and I've also been playing around with. It's called the Dolly AI art generator. This has been showing up on a lot of people's social media. It's basically, it's like this AI that some people have made that you can just put in whatever prompt you want, and the AI will create 9 little portraits for you based on it.
Oh,
and so so I decided to do a bunch of SWTOR ones, and I threw those up on Twitter, and I throw them in the show notes here. So Darth Malgus in a tutu was the first one. That's actually one of the best ones too.
Holy crap, that's terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the lollipop one actually, because it actually uses the preview the preview window picture, with like the sort of the medium blue and the sort of the circles.
Right.
It's like you're previewing a lollipop in SWTOR, which I think is hilarious.
That is kind of funny.
And then Darth Revan meeting Elmo was fun. I like this one especially because like there's no lightsabers at first, and then there are, so it's almost like a little story is being told where like Revan meets Elmo and then they start fighting or something. So
love affair is born.
And the last picture is just like 3 Elmos, not really any Darth Revan, and a lightsaber. So I think Elmo wins that fight apparently.
I like the cycloptic Elmo there in the bottom middle.
Yeah, in the background. It's like,
he's like, ah.
Yeah, there's definitely there's a little nightmare fuel sort of aspect to the Dolly, the way the AI works. It's definitely a little weird, but it's a lot of fun. My last one was Darth Nihilus drinking boba tea, which I think was a lot of fun too. Darth Nihilus, of course, pre-SWTOR, but
right.
I mean, whatever database they're using or multiple databases. They only will go so far into SWTOR before they just won't recognize anything. I did one Satil Shan one that it seemed to sort of have an idea what Satil Shan was, but it had no idea what Theron Shan was. It had no idea about Valkorion, Tenebrae, any of the Emperors. So you can't go too deep into SWTOR lore with the AI, at least at this point. But it's a lot of fun to play around with, and those are all in the show notes. They were in my Twitter as well, and there we go. So
that's funny. That's really funny.
All right. So let's go to the tip of the week. We've got a couple of tips that I did, and we've also have one from Smooth Wolf. So let's see. So tip of the week, like if you're thinking about, and I relearned this lesson the hard way. If you're thinking about buying a weapon, check the sound out on swotorista.com/weapons or YouTube, because I bought a GL-13 pistol for its look, and I was willing to go like, oh, is it pop pop pow, or is it boom boom boom, or is it pew pew pew? I would have gone with any of those. It has this weird crunchy noise. It goes, it shoots like it is awful. Okay. I could not listen to it. It was horrific.
Okay.
Do you know that one, Zamzam?
No, I don't. But
okay.
It sounds a bit weird.
It is weird and awful. So for me, that was So it's like I like the look, but I cannot use it. So yeah, definitely check the sound out.
Yeah, you've got to watch the sound.
Yeah, and I knew that, but it's a pistol. Like I didn't think I was going to be in trouble with it, but never mind. All right, another tip that I've noticed, something I kind of didn't remember, or maybe I never knew about it, or maybe I forgot about it. There's a Jawa scrap exchange for the vendors, and you can only go up. You can only go from green to blue or from blue to purple. This is for the Jawa junk and other. There's those 3 levels of scrap. So if you want blue scrap, you can turn in 10 greens plus 1,000 credits and get 1 blue. If you want a purple, you can turn in 10 blues and 1,000 credits and get a purple. So it's not efficient, but like if you really needed, to craft something and you didn't have the right amount of scrap, that is a way to do it. So it is there. I don't know how often I would use this, but I think the other reason is like I'm a big fan of both the maintenance and the delicacy gifts, and they're really cheap. Mm-hmm. They only cost 2 each.
Yep.
But the green ones, they do sometimes take a long time to give out. That way, if you're only getting say like 150 points per gift, as opposed to several hundred for the blues and then the purples. I could see maybe someone saying, you know what, screw it, I'll just spend a little, use up these greens, spend some credits, and use the blues instead, and that sort of thing. It's obviously, again, not efficient, but it would at least save you some time. All right, so a tip from DL Smooth Wolf. In order to complete your aspiring 13th brother or 66th sister, Space Barbie, you'll need a couple of items. 1, the Sith Recluse armor set, and 2, the Prophet's Starforged dual lightsabers. So that's what he's suggesting for those. and pray silent to the Arutini gods to acquire said items. And then DL Smooth was for holo recording will self-destruct in T-minus 60 seconds. So thank you, DL Smooth Wolf. So yeah, so if you're looking for that 13th brother or 16th sister Sith Recluse, and then these Prophet's Starforged dual lightsaber. And so you are automatically the winner. Since I'm not going to give a gift to myself, you win one of the 3 pet codes plus a 450cc code courtesy of BioWare. That'll bring us to the Mind Trap. And and if you have a tip of the week, do send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. The Mind Trap. How often do you PvP in SWTOR in 7.0? So we did this, and it was the first one we've gotten that has over 1,000 votes in a little while. So that nice. A lot of interest, which was great. Mm-hmm. Thank you everyone for the retweets and so on. And Zamzam, you responded pretty fast to it, which was great.
Yeah.
And I guess I wasn't completely surprised by the results, but let's go over them. I think in previous years we've seen sort of similar polls from people, and it maybe wasn't quite as not playing PvP as this, but this has sort of been this is a little more no PvP than I was expecting.
Very
All right,
surprised.
so the options were: it's my main activity, I PvP often, I PvP occasionally, or little or not at all. And the little or not at all did win, and by going away, 72.4% out of 1,000. Yeah. And sometimes I think, if we have one of those polls with only, a couple hundred votes, that's usually just, our folks who are just kind of paying attention to us on, on Twitter and so forth. This one, when you have 1,000 votes, that's people kind of that's not just our regular base. That's other people chipping in as well. So yeah, not a lot of people voted for PvP. PvP occasionally was actually second, and that was the second least amount of PvP at 15.8%. I PvP often was 6.3%, and it's my main activity is 5.5%. And so yeah, so only 10% of the people PvP, regularly / almost all the time. And then, 80% of the time it's occasional, or even more than that, little or not at all. So for me, I put occasionally. You could have argued I probably should have said little or not at all, but I've been playing a lot this week, so I did say occasionally. Kitty, what did you say?
Mine was little or not at all.
Okay.
But I think after this weekend, I might throw it into my rotation. I think I'm going to take a note off of Zamzam and throw a PvP, channel point thing. I think that's a great idea.
Nice.
But, yeah, I almost win occasionally, but I really don't do it that often. So I stuck with little or not at all.
Right. And Zamzam? It was your...
Oh, I picked my main activity up.
Yeah, which is great. We had a lot of people answering to it, too. Blaze said, just trolling Zam while she PvP counts. Do you get a lot of people trolling you while you're playing? I mean, you say you get focused a lot. Is there other ways that people troll you?
Not really. Yeah, it's surprisingly not so far. I haven't had too many issues. It's more the focus fire at the moment that's been the main thing.
Right.
It's getting excessive at times, but
I imagine that
so
even
far,
if... Yeah, I imagine even if you're a stealther, if people are knowing that you're streaming, it's kind of hard to go and sneak a door or whatever.
Yeah.
If people are actually watching you stream, basically, I think isn't it called stream sniping? I think it is called that in some circles.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me though. There's nothing I can do about it. So.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I usually a healer, so I'm going to get focused anyway. But
that's true. Absolutely, yeah.
It's very noticeable anyway, when I'm streaming the focus fires. Yeah.
Extreme. You must be really good at figuring out line of sighting and all kinds of ways to mitigate damage.
I have varying degrees of success. Sometimes I'll get distracted by chat a little bit and I'll die. But
Fair enough.
Other times you just when I'm a mech, I'm pretty tanky anyway. But I have no mobility, so that sucks. But limited mobility now with the changes. But Yeah, you just gotta deal with it.
When you're on a Merc, do you take
all the tools you have?
Do you take hydraulic overrides, or do you take one of the other ones on that tree? Which one do you take out of those three? Do you remember?
What's the one?
I think it's the one where it's like you can use your Kolto overload while you're stunned, and it clears stuns. Is that what you take instead?
I
think that's
so.
And I can't remember what the third one is.
Yeah, no, I'm having a mind blank. Hang on.
Third one might even be the single target stun. I can't remember for sure though.
Yeah, I definitely don't take that.
But you don't take hydraulic overrides?
No.
I love that.
I love that ability.
I do too.
I do on PT. I can take it, but not on a Merc.
Not on a Merc. Okay.
Not on a healer. No.
Yeah. Right. Well, on a Merc, it doesn't give as much speed either, so I can see why it might not be as valuable.
It's responsive safeguards is what I take. Yeah.
And
you've got to take that as a Merc. That's the reflect.
Oh, that's the reflect. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to take that. You can't not take it.
Right. I guess that makes sense. It's a pretty good ability. So I guess I'm to make that choice on my little leveling James Bond power tech guy. So power tech. So okay. Let's see. And people are answering, pretty much what you would expect. Like, I do PvP, I don't PvP. Let's see. I used to do it regularly, but there are some people who take it way too seriously and are too mean to other players that take the fun out of it, so I don't anymore. There's definitely people who do that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with negativity, Zamzam? Like, does it bother you, or do you just like mute chat, or what do you do?
I've never really had to deal with too much negativity. If anything, sometimes it's coming from me, I guess. But I can be a little toxic sometimes.
Right. Well, that's probably one of the nice things is that you're bringing your own people with you that you can focus on instead of focusing on the chat in the game.
Yeah, I'm super chill person in general anyway, so right. I don't mind. I guess I don't see it that much. But in chat and just in PvP chats in general, you just ignore it.
Okay.
People they're just being keyboard warriors. Like, if they're bitching about you, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. If they're complaining about your team like not performing well, or they're losing or something, you just ignore them because they're usually not contributing themselves either. That's what I tell people. If they're just whinging at their team, you just ignore them. They're not doing anything. Right. They're not contributing or doing anything worthy of, just ignore them.
Right.
Yeah.
And Chimeri did a nice little thing off of our poll. He said, going off of Utina's poll, I'd like to ask my followers, what turns you away from SWTOR PvP? Because he did this maybe a day or two, and it was clear already by then, what the results were likely to be. 67% with little to not at all is pretty jarring to see. Player toxicity came up a fair bit. Lots of people play the game solo, so they don't have any interest in group activity, and then PvP has a bad reputation for toxicity, which makes it intimidating to try as a beginner. Also, lack of new maps makes it a bit stale. So a lot of answers from Highlands Hachiroku. Let's see. Skills are drastically different than the PvE, and less predictability, and it's also faster pace. That's my biggest reason I don't PvP. I'm terrible, and therefore it isn't as enjoyable. From Darth Dad. Beware 2, for me, it was the mixing of teams, imps and reps playing on the same team. That was the last straw for me. I understand it was a necessary decision to fix queue times, but for me it took away the last bit of fun from PvP. So I guess he really liked the old style where like you were actually on a Republic team, they were on an Empire team, or vice versa. I had to
get rid of that.
That, unfortunately, that had to happen, unfortunately.
Now with being able to choose, a Republic story but play an Imperial character, that's all
right,
null and void anyway.
That's all out the exactly. Right. It's out the window.
Yeah, exactly. It's all together now, which is kind of funny because there's still like the Major Pierce and 4X missions where you're supposed to go out and win one for the team, but it's like the teams are all mixed. So, and I do remember like first few like years or seasons or whatever. Like if you were playing Republic and you were a PvPer, your queue times were really short because like they were looking for. There was a period of time there where it was really short queue times because more Empire people wanted to play, but they hadn't done a lot of that yet. Let's see. And then Floplag said for a long time it was my. There's so many weird names.
I love it.
Yeah. It just makes me laugh sometimes. For a long time it was my primary activity, but at this point you get few matches where people actually play. It's just guild team members farming, and there's no fun in it for me. That becomes easy mode. People can play how they wish, but there's no rule that says I have to be part of it. Fair enough. And let's see. And then Hello said, I think a lot of people take PvP way too seriously, and if you have a bad match, they just hurl abuse at you, whereas they should just move on to the next match and try again. Let's see. And then Stunlocked and then Dead mechanic is only fun when you're the one doing it. Although Chimeri said, although in my opinion the stuns are less in 7.0 than it was in the past. Do you agree with that, Zamzam? Is there less stun locking in 7.0, or is it still?
Yes, there is, definitely. It's slows and snares that are the big thing now.
Right.
There's a lot less stuns because tech classes, all their stuns are in the tree, and for pretty much every tech spec that I'm aware of, there's another thing that's better to take than the stun. So nobody takes the stun.
I see. Yeah,
because there's something better for everybody.
Because there's something better, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's definitely a lot less stuns. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then a lot of people saying sort of similar things. Is this basically line up with what you would expect, Zamzam, or were some of these maybe a little surprising?
No, I wasn't really that surprised. Yeah, PvP does have that toxic reputation, but I try to tell people it's really not as bad as they think it is. At least not in regs. Ranked is a different thing. It's completely separate, but in regs, it's not that as bad as people think it is.
Right. Because they don't. Yeah, not as many people take it so darn seriously.
Right. Nah. If you have a bad match, you just move on. By the next match, you're over it anyway. You know what I mean? So,
right.
And like I was already saying, if there is somebody in your match complaining, you can just ignore them. They're not contributing. Like, if that's the type of thing people don't like, well, it's like, that happens semi-frequently, but it's not a big deal. They're not targeting you, they're targeting the whole team. Just ignore them, they're not contributing anyway. That's my attitude.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do the holo feed, and then we'll do a big talk about PvP at the end. Let's see. Going on to the holo feed, Season 2 has just finished. So Galactic Season 2 is just done. I noticed that if you didn't accept a reward, then you do automatically get it via mail. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I found out on one of the servers where I'm just logging in just for fun, just to see how far I can get through the through the season. There was a couple things I didn't bother to grab, and they turned up in the mail. Especially the dies, because those take a lot of space because they're not stackable.
Yeah, I know, that's so annoying.
Yeah. The reputation vendor is still there on Nar Shaddaa, so if you ended up with the extra plans, you can still go do that, which is great. What you can do, if you want, is you can get the one at a time ones, like just turn in one planet at a time, so you get the blue, it's the minimum amount, because just even doing the blue one gets you the conquest for that day. So you can kind of stretch out how long, like if this is your only way of getting reputation right now, and it kind of is for me, because the things that I do have long since been maxed out, and I don't have that many other things I'm gaining reputation on. So this is a way for me to get reputation gains for a long time, as opposed to just, so I'm just doing blue, and I just grab the blue ones, and I'll just let them do one at a time until we finally max them out. I'm about halfway through the last level already, so it's not really going to last that long, but it's all good. And if you care about getting conquest on more than one, more characters. Relics of the Greed just finished. There's a couple of other events coming up in this month, though. Pirate Incursion, July 12th to July 29th. And that one's on Dantooine. So I haven't really touched that one in a little while. Have you, Zamzam? Is this one that you've done much with?
Which one, the Pirate Incursion?
The Pirate Incursion, yeah.
Not recently, no, because I've done everything for it pretty much. So I'm still missing. I haven't done I think it's the one where you do the heroics or the
heroics,
complete the weekly 1,000 times, but I haven't done that one yet. I'm not in any rush to do it. But,
right, and at least at the time they were pretty unsoloable, from what I remember. I don't know if in 7.0 if that's changed at all. I haven't tried it at all, but it's but yeah, I usually I haven't bothered to go over and do that. But it has a couple of fun missions from what I remember. So, and
it was a lot of fun at the time. Yeah,
exactly.
When it came out, yeah.
Yep. And then after that, Bounty Hunt Contract Week will be back July 26th through August 2nd. And that one's been around a long time. I still have not maxed it out, though.
You still have?
It's one that I just cannot, I see the appeal, but I just haven't bothered. But, it's just me. That's how I play the game. Right. The funny thing is if this was a one-time thing, it's and this is the last time you could ever get it, it would actually kick my butt into gear and getting this done. Or if they said, this is going to happen 4 more times, and then at the end of the year we're going to do a new event, you'll never see it again. It would get me there. It would get me there.
That's the problem with some of the events. It's just you can't motivate yourself to do them because they're always coming back.
They're always coming back, exactly.
If it was a lot rarer, then but. Right. If it only came once or twice a year, maybe, but it's every other month almost.
Yeah,
I still don't have all the kingpins.
When Bounty,
Kingpin's fun.
When it came out, it was I think it was the only way to get a bowcaster. So I went really hard on it because I wanted all the different bowcasters.
They're pretty cool.
And there's some really cool decos for it. There's some really cool armor sets for it. And they've added a couple other really interesting things that you can use to put different currencies together and get some interesting things too, which is fun.
Yep. At the 10-year anniversary, they also remind us is going on all the way through basically the end of the year. So if you just haven't been to the vendor, there's a lot of really cool stuff there. There's a bunch of faction-based fireworks, commemorative statues of HK-51, Valkorion, and Malgus. The Senya Hollow statue is available. The fireworks backpack. There's several deco posters, class ships, stronghold decorations, and more. And I did actually do that a while ago, and there are some really nice things. And especially if you're like a free-to-play player or just not subscribed, and maybe you don't have access to a lot of the extra toys, so you've only done the class regen one. There's a couple of toys that are there that are really fun. So all good stuff. They did let us know that back-end maintenance was done on June 28th. It was extended for about half an hour. No other information was given. It's just one of those things. They're doing things in the background to make things run better. Let's see. There's been a couple of notes from the community team. People have said that they've been having troubles, no options to cancel the subscription, and apparently this has to do with whether you're doing it through Steam or not. Because if the subscription was purchased on Steam, then you need to do it through the Steam account apparently. Because there is a SWTOR on Steam EA help page. The link will be in the show notes, but you can also find it on SWTOR.com. And they said if it doesn't help you after you've checked that out, you can directly contact the support team by phone, and then there's an article on how to do that as well. So apparently if you're getting the subscription through Steam, then it needs to be stopped through Steam as well.
Yes.
There is a known issue about the Eternal Championship where you defeat the first boss. But if you're in a party, you might be unable to interact with the terminal, making you unable to progress through the Eternal Championship solo plus Flashpoint. So, or in this case, not solo plus.
Well.
Jackie Coe did put up a note on the Nar Shaddaa nightlife event, although I guess it's also the Mek Shah one now, too. Let's see. She said the Nar Shaddaa event is not discontinued, so we are confirming it is coming back this year, and there will be some new rewards. They are finalizing the details on timing, and they'll definitely be posting an update when we're ready to share that info.
Yay! I'm looking forward to that this year.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I might actually take that character because she didn't actually get all the way leveled through PvP. She's like level 58 or something like that. And so, yeah, I'll be able to get her back to the casinos and do it that way. And several SWTOR makers have found new decos and other things on the PTS that do relate to the nightlife event. So the PTS is kind of also confirming that that's coming. Let's see.
Yeah, it was just a pet and a mount. That's all I ever found.
Right.
But, yeah.
Let's see. There's a couple minor bugs like Valkyrian's Royal Gauntlets. There's like one of those preview things where the gloves appear black on the preview and also during cutscenes. I've noticed that there's a couple of things where that happens where you wouldn't necessarily think that's a thing because like it looks normal in running around the world, but if you preview it, it looks weird, and in cutscenes, it looks weird. There's a couple of armorings usually that do look like that has that happen to it, and that's one of them. Another one is it's like the mini skirt, but it's supposed to not have leggings. It's just a mini skirt with just regular leg, whatever your character's leg skin color is. But then in previews and also in cutscenes, it has like leggings, which I think tend to match the color of the miniskirt or something like that. But nowhere else. Like in running around the world, it looks normal. I don't know how that happens, but MMOs are complex. We know that.
There's a comma somewhere that needs to be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. There was after June 20th, 2022, some guilds did not win planets from last week's conquest. I didn't notice. I'm not 100% sure if one of our two guilds just didn't quite make the thing, but we usually do. So maybe this was just that bug. If it was a problem for you, then you can actually send an email to support@SWTOR.com and follow up on that. I didn't bother, but whatever. It might be important. And I suppose like if you're like in a really big guild and maybe there's some other sort of achievements or something tied into it, then that might be more important. They are doing they actually have also finished this, but there was a new phase of the PTS. This is about the R4 anomaly operation and the Manon daily area, so they've been working on that. Let's see. They did confirm that Underworld Syndicate plans will no longer drop from enemies as well. So there's just no way to get plans anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, all the ways to get plans are now gone. So if whatever you've got, go ahead and burn them down at the vendor, or at the reputation vendor, and that'll be that. SwordReset.com came up with a kind of a clever idea. I thought this is her names really cool site. So she and I think a bunch of people who actually did a bunch of research, they all came together. And basically came up with a bunch of species-specific names that are in keeping with the known names of characters from SWTOR with that particular species, and sometimes beyond. So I thought that was pretty clever, and there's even a little thing you can alert them when one of the names is not available on a particular server or whatever. But that was pretty slick. So if you're stuck for a name, definitely check that out, swordreset.com/names. Let's see. And then the PTS is being taken down, or it is down now.
Yeah.
And did you do the Manon area, or did you do the...
Yes, I did. Yeah.
What did you think of it? Is it pretty standard for a daily area,
Really nice. In places it's really pretty actually, but yeah, it's actually pretty quick and straightforward, everything. There's one heroic 4 that people are going to have problems with, but everything else is soloable pretty much. There's one heroic that definitely there's going to be people who have problems with it.
Yeah, if it's a 4, they that will not be soloable for sure.
Yeah, you can 2-man it, but you can't. Some classes might be able to solo it. It's not easily, but it might. Some people might be able to, but you can 2-man it. quite easily.
Great.
You shouldn't have a problem if you're too many.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because we've seen that sort of thing before, where if it was a 4 but it was a daily area, it's not a hard 4 group. It's like a 2 or maybe 3 at most. So that's good. Let's
exciting
see.
too.
Yeah.
There's like a heroic area. One part of the daily area is actually a heroic area, but it's pretty easy. It's like heroic 2 area, but if you pull too many mobs, you might get in trouble.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But yeah.
And when
it's different.
Excellent. And when Jackie posted about the PTS coming down, she also said, a follow-up note, team wanted to express their thanks to all the players who streamed and provided VODs throughout this PTS cycle. The insight and feedback gained from them was very helpful. This was the last phase of the 7.1 PTS, and 7.1 is currently targeting midsummer. That has not changed. Yay! However, they've still also not given out a specific date yet. So midsummer is still 7.1. And there we go. That'll bring us to the Sarlacc Digest, where we go over the issues for 1,000 years, or until we run out of time. And we're going to talk some more about PvP with Zamzam. So Zamzam, so we know the devs, one of the things they said about like the whole 10-year anniversary and all that was that they were going to look at PvP and making some updates. I have not heard much, anything really more specific from them. I don't think you have either. Yeah. So what would you want though? Like, what are the things that people are saying sort of need to be corrected, or you would hope would be corrected, in terms of PvP?
So one of the more popular requests that I've seen, and it's something that Chris Schmidt himself said that they wanted to look into doing when he was still with the game, was doing a separate arena and warzone queue.
Okay.
That's definitely a very popular request, or some kind of ability to choose the match you want to do. That's probably one of the biggest requests that I see.
Right.
And Chris himself has even stated it on a couple of occasions over the past couple of years that they were looking into doing that. So maybe that could be a part of it. We don't know though.
Right. And I suppose that could take a lot of different methods. Like you can choose an 8v8, or you can choose a 4v4, or you can choose both, or maybe it's as small as going in and choosing which ones you want. Because I know as much as I like Hutball, I think it's a lot of fun. There's definitely people who really hate Hutball. Like every time PvP comes up, I hate Hutball. Definitely is like something that pops up. Do you have a Hutball opinion? A strong one? Anyone?
I enjoy Hutball. I enjoy Hutball. I generally enjoy it. I don't like Questball or Vanden maps very much, but I like the game mode itself, and the original Hutball is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Too. Yeah, I think right, and I agree that the first one is the most fun. The Quest one is interesting, and it's like I like how vertical it is sometimes, because it's like it definitely gives it a flavor that's not like any of the other maps. The Vanden one, because it was broken for a while, and I've been away from PvP a fair bit, like I'm just doing leveling and just doing my thing. I don't think I've played it enough to really get a feel for it. Like, I know there's a lot of traps, and there's some walls, and, there's the thing that lets you kind of jump forward and back and stuff, but I haven't really done it enough to really get a feel for it. Yeah, so...
I find it pretty dreary, because the setting's kind of depressing. And it's also, with all the extra traps and obstacles, it can take a lot longer to score. As well, so you're more likely to have to pass the ball. So that requires team coordination. It's a lot harder to solo score in Vanden than on all the other maps, I would say.
Right. I guess that would make sense then. Yeah, there are a lot of flame traps and so on that you have to get around.
Obviously, the quickest way is to have someone on their goal line, but that doesn't always happen. So,
right. Yeah. I don't think I think Kitty, when you and I did a couple of the Hutballs, it was the regular Hutball, or at least the ones I'm thinking of. I think we did Quest at least once as well.
Yeah, there was one Quest.
But in the regular one, in the Nar Shaddaa one, I don't think we were really sending people ahead, but there was enough like grouping up where we were able to throw the ball to each other, or you were able, like if I was running the ball, you were able to stun people off of me and stuff like that, or slow them off of me. So I think that helped. also for better or worse, it's like I'm always happy to take anything that breaks like slows and roots. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I will take that over something that actually helps me more in PvP.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, I get. And whenever I'm hindered, it's like,
I know.
I hate hinder.
The sound of the operatives splink, splink, splink. What is that? The back? Oh my god! But what's funny is that when you're on the edge, of when you're doing the backstabbing, best sound in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. We also did some Void Star. I've always felt for me, Void Star is like, it's either the best or the worst. Like, it's either the most amazing Warzone you can possibly have, where it comes down to the last second, and it's so close to like getting to the right amount of doors that you had to open, or to the end or whatever.
Right.
Or it's just the worst slog where like one person they ran through, and then you have to wait like 4 or 5 minutes until your team is just going to lose horribly.
Yeah.
And even if you win that way, it's not all that much fun. Like, if you just sprint through and then you just got to defend, but it's obvious that they're not as coordinated or whatever, and it's just not going to happen. It's just like, look at your watch for a couple of minutes. But that's Void Star for me. It's like, it's the best one or it's the worst one, and you never know until you actually play it.
Exactly.
So
when you're winning, it's great. When you're losing, it's the worst.
Do you have a particular favorite, Zamzam? 8v8?
Void Star and Nevada Coast are my favorite maps, actually, because they're the most likely to turn into number farms out of all the maps.
And I'm sorry, it's the most likely to what? I'd miss that.
To be number farms, so you just don't ignore the objectives and just kill each other. These death matches,
right?
I like that from time to time. Sometimes you
right. Just put up the big numbers. See,
and big numbers make you go boom.
That's right. Yeah, Novar Coast is a lot of fun. And it's funny, that one hasn't popped for me this week at all. So.
Yeah, it's one of the rarer ones.
I wonder why that is. Is that because of the way that they choose it?
The keys are just weird. I don't know. There's days where I'll get Hypergate 10 times. Like, Hypergate, I seem to get a lot for some reason.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of Hypergates.
Yeah, I don't know. The keys are weird. They're all over the shop. Yeah, I do like Hypergate too. But
I like Hypergate too. Yeah.
When you get it a lot, it just. I like variety. Variety is important.
Yeah.
When it comes to keys, definitely.
What do you think of Odessa and Proving Grounds? Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. It can be fun, but it's.
I don't love it and I don't hate it. Yeah, exactly. You can have fun matches with it, but kind of a bit of a slog sometimes.
Right.
One thing I like about that one, the Vanden, is when you get the person that is really low on health, and then they go for one of the healing nodes, and it's not there. And you follow them, and then they pop behind it, thinking that no,
hoping it'll be there.
There's no node, so they try to heal themselves, and you're like, no. I love that. It happens all the time. It's great.
Did you say it was in Vanden, or were you talking about a different map?
What was it? The one that we were just talking about.
Oh, the Hypergate?
No, not the Hypergate. The one where you have to sit on the nodes in order to get the points. And there's 4 different nodes.
Oh, okay. Vanden? Yeah. It's called Odessa Proving Grounds.
Odessa Proving Grounds. Okay.
Yeah. And I think also that one, it tends to be like, if people know about like the buffs, like if people are using the buffs right, it really helps your team. And if the people who know about the buffs are on the other team,
not to mention,
it's a real problem.
There's one of the nodes that's outside. It's got a glass dome.
Yeah, the northern one.
That one, man, on a Juggernaut is so fun because you can push people off into the oblivion so easy. You can kite them right outside and then boop, gone.
Right.
Love that. Although on the other side of that, there's been times that I am going to go jump to an enemy target, and then they get pushed off, and I follow that target off to my death. That's always like damn it.
Yeah. And Zamzam, do you have a preference when it comes to arenas? Like, I know that you don't prefer them over the AV8, but when you are in an arena, are there maps that you prefer?
I tend to don't mind the Macab one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I actually don't mind the Mandalorian Battle Arena either.
Yeah, I think that's actually my favorite. I just think it's a really interesting one because everything's up so high, and then if you go down, you can have completely separate fights, and yet you're kind of close to each other. So if you beat the people up top, then you look down and you see, well, can I jump down there? Will I take too much damage? It's much better if you have like the Holo Traverse or something. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you'd like to see for the PvP update?
Something that there's a couple of things that I've kind of always wanted to do. I wanted to see, but I don't think they'll ever do. Is I've always wanted a more competitive 8v8 mode, so like a ranked 8v8, because I miss it. I used to do it back before they took it out of the game, and I've always wanted it to come back, and I thought it'd be cool if they could find a way to bring back some kind of competitiveness to 8v8.
Right.
I don't know how if they could do that, or if people would want that anymore. But that's something I've always wanted to see. But
yeah, it was still random maps, though, right? It wasn't just.
Oh yeah, it's all random. It was all random maps. Yeah.
I wonder if they would have. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay. I kind of wish they hadn't taken it out and just added the ranked rewards and all that to it. Because when AV8 ranked was around, there was no kind of rewards or anything to it.
Right, that was pretty early.
We just got titles when they switched to arenas. We just got titles if you did AV8, but that's all we got from it. If they had just given us the rewards, some kind of ranked and reward system with that, I think it would have kept going and been popular. But yeah. I still miss it after all these years.
When the ranked season is going, do you like to do ranked then, or because I know that you're saying like right now you're not playing it, but that's partly, at least it sounds like, because this is the off season. Do you like to do ranked when it's actually?
Not in a long time. When Arena Ranked first came out, I did do it for the first few seasons, just to get the rewards. But then I didn't really enjoy the experience. So I just got to a point where I decided I don't want to. I don't see the point. I'm not doing this anymore. Oh well, I won't have the rewards, kind of thing.
Right.
I felt like I needed the rewards to be seen as a PvPer back then, but then I got to a point where I didn't care. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're well known as a PvPer regardless.
So, back then it was like this idea if you had to have the shiny thing to show off that you did the shiny thing, I guess, like with raiding, they get the nice mounts and stuff.
Right. Yep. They've had some really cool ranked rewards, the Holo Rancors, and some of the weapon designs are really nice. I've really admired some of those weapons that they've had for some of those seasons, especially.
Yeah, I have the original Furious weapons.
Ooh, nice. Those are good.
I'm so proud I have those. Yeah. I'm proud I have those. So, yeah.
No tuning needed. No infernal tuning needed.
Don't need a tuning for those, no.
Do they even do they have it? Yeah. Did they add a tuning to them? Do you know?
I think there's.
I actually don't know.
I don't really use tunings that much, but yeah. I would imagine it.
Yeah. So short of ranked becoming like an 8v8 possibility, there's not really much that would drag you back to it. Like rewards obviously isn't doing it for you. So
no, a lot of the rewards lately haven't been that great. Nothing to get me to try it again, but I would think if they had a really good reward or something I really wanted, I might get back into it, but that's probably the only thing that would get me to do it.
Right.
If the rewards are really nice.
Yeah.
I don't think they've really matched that since the earlier seasons, but yeah.
Yeah. How about how do you feel balance is in PvP in terms of the damage? I know you've talked a little bit about the healing, but what about like the damage and maybe the tanking?
It's not the best. Obviously you see it with PvE. There's really OP classes that are really output pushing out that DPS, and there's some classes like mechs, as was discussed in the chat earlier, that aren't doing so good. So there is a bit of disparity. You don't really see it too much in regs because, you know, things are a bit more even out. There's a lot more factors to consider, but when it comes to harder content and ranked, from when it was popping, from what I've heard from other people, there was really very much a class disparity. You couldn't queue on certain classes. You could only really, it was really very much a stealth matter. And Fury Mara is basically the thing. So those are the OP classes at the moment, is the Fury Maras and Deception Assassin and Lethality Operatives. They're the big classes. And you've also got Juggies that are doing pretty well, of course. What else is doing well?
Is that in the Smash spec, or is that...
Both specs do pretty well.
Okay. Both of the DPS ones, anyway.
I think both the DPS are pretty well.
Okay.
In terms of tanks, I think PTs are the best tanks right now, from what I understand. Assassins, and then Juggies are just not that great.
Might as well queue up in damage spec.
Yeah, you don't see too many full-on tanks in PvP anyway. They're usually more skank tanks. But yeah, and you don't really see that many tanks anyway.
Right.
Yeah, when you do, they're nice to have when you do see them, but generally it's PTs is the best tanks. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm writing that down.
Yeah. And is there anything else that we haven't brought up yet that you'd like to say about PvP or about possible changes to PvP?
The only other thing I'd like to see them do with the revamp is give us like some new maps, whether it's a Warzone or Arena. I don't really care, but something new would be really nice. One thing I would like in terms of maps, I don't know if I'd want to reskin. Maybe they could reskin something like Nevada Coast reskin would be really nice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that would be the favorite, would be a Nevada Coast reskin, because a lot of people like it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But the other mode I've always wanted them to do it, and just an 8v8 deathmatch.
Some sort of true deathmatch.
Yeah, a full true deathmatch mode for 8v8 I think would be amazing.
Right.
I don't know if they'd ever do that, but yeah, that would be a lot of fun, I think.
That would be really fun.
Would you prefer the kind where like everyone gets one life, or where there's a pool of lives, or everyone gets a certain amount of lives individually? Like what kind do you think would work the best?
That's a good question. Maybe I think for AV8, maybe you'd be better off with having a pool of lives instead of just the one life.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's a great idea. That would be really interesting.
That's something to think about, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, I definitely want to see that. And then the other mode I've kind of always wanted them to do is like a classic capture the flag.
Okay.
I always like that. My favorite mode in the old school FPS games,
right?
Like, you know, the Unreal tournaments and all that, was the capture the flag. I loved that.
We actually have to go all the way across the map in order to do it.
Like, where there's the base where each team has a flag. I guess Hardball is kind of a one-man flag capture the flag, but I want a two-flag capture the flag.
Right.
I think would
and
be.
Stargate has a little bit of it too. Ancient Hypergate rather has a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
But it's not really to capture the flag, because, you know, you're only running it from the middle. That would be a lot of fun.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
You could definitely...
Flag sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and maybe potentially like a map with a little bit more of like the jumps and the, you know, the bounding areas and that sort of thing, as opposed to like having to run 100% of the time all the way across a large map.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It could be capture the holocron.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like a Sith holocron on one side and a regular Republic holocron on the other side.
Yeah, that could work. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
that would be fun for sure.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I do remember, like, back in the day, like capture the flag being a really fun mode. I can't remember exactly what game I was playing that in, but because it's been ages since I've done any sort of first person shooter or anything even similar. But But I remember that being a fun, just sort of general mode where you can figuring out the best way to get around and maybe not get spotted or getting past their defenses or whatever.
Yeah. So, I remember playing a lot of Capture the Flag. I think it was Halo. Didn't they have a Capture the Flag in Halo?
I'm sure.
And, like, you couldn't shoot while you had the skull or the flag, and you're like,
you have to run.
Yeah. That was great. That was so fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. And go ahead and let us know again where people can see you stream and also see you on social media and such.
So I am the owner of the website mmobits.com, and I stream on twitch.tv/Zam_Zam. And I also am pretty active on Twitter at ZamZamGaming. And I also have a YouTube that's ZamZamGaming as well. It's exactly the same one word. So, yeah.
Excellent.
I'm trying to build up YouTube, but that's a slow process.
And thanks for coming today. This has been great, and lope forward. Hopefully,
you're very welcome.
Yeah, since you've been playing on SWTOR, hopefully we'll see you, in the Warzone soon. Do you exclusively do like 80, or do you do leveling PvP as well?
I do mostly 80, but I have more recently been leveling a couple of tunes.
Okay, well,
that are like in the 70s. But yeah,
right. I'll have to watch for you there, especially once I get to end game. Then.
Yeah.
All right, then. That's the show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the SWTOR server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming at twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you, ZamZam.
Thank you, ZamZam.
And we'll see you next show. All right, let's go ahead and get a little raid arena going here. The stream is still going at this point. Let's see. I love how this.
Can I stop Audacity now? Or?
Hang on, keep that running for the moment being, please.
Fair enough.
We're gonna stop it all at the same time. Hang on a second. Why is this? Twitch is being so difficult sometimes. Okay. Does anyone know somewhere you can raid and I can just do it manually, because I cannot find the gosh darn proper way to swap it over here. Let's see.
Smokey's on.
Oh, I mean, he don't.
That's
Hang on a sec. Okay, what was it again? How do you spell it?
Here, I will put the link.
They've got it in the chat.
Okay.
As well.
I put it in Discord.
There we go. All right, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll do the raid here as soon as the countdown finishes. And thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Okay. Yep. Let me go ahead and get back to this. Stopping the stream. Stopping.